The Nick and Matt Show.
But we're going to bring on a multi-year world champion right now whose name is Ricky Wysocki. Swapping out Josh for a minute here. Ricky, how are you doing, man?
Good. Glad to join the show. It was also interesting to hear what you guys were talking about there in a second ago, just with about Katrina and her new potential contract. So pretty interesting. I'm good friends with Kat, and it's awesome to see all the hype in the off season so far. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it almost rivals the year of the 2019 contract or the off season that was. Players going back to big companies, players leaving their big companies, and I think this year might, kind of beat that year of all these different signings. I mean, you had two Innova sponsored players with Kona and Ricky leaving, actually going to the same company now. I mean, it's definitely been a crazy year, but congratulations, Ricky, on your contract. And thank you for making it public. We were talking about it with a bunch of different people, and we're like, it's kind of nice to see the money aspect of it. A 4-year deal is massive. What does this kind of mean for your career? And what are your hopeful goals with everything going along with this?
It's obviously, I appreciate, first of all, thank you. Glad to be here and share some time with you guys and all the viewers here. But yeah, it's exciting for me. I'm at the point in my career where I feel like I've built the brand. I've won the tournaments, and I think it was time for me to work with a company that saw that value, and I definitely felt like Dynamic Disc did. And I'm super thankful that they're taking a chance on me. Now it's time for me to go out there and prove my worth as well. So it's a super exciting time for me, and I think it's also another sign that taking care of yourself, health and wellness wise, is super important. And the earlier you can notice that in your career, the longer you can prolong your career. And I think that goes back to like what you guys were talking with Kat. She's really strict with her diet, works out every day at 5 a.m. She's probably one of the most dedicated disc golfers that I've ever seen. And so, age really isn't as much of a factor with someone like that's working out, taking care of themselves. They're going to prolong their career 10, 15, 20 years longer than someone that doesn't.
Tom Brady. I mean, pliability, the TB12 method. I mean, he's going strong. It can be done. Hold on. I'm not comparing Kat to Tom Brady and his age. No, it's not happening. No, don't peg me on that. Ricky, we've had you on multiple times. We always appreciate the fact you have to be up there as far as Nick and Matt Show is concerned with the best disc golf athlete in responding. You have to be at the top. You're really good about it. We thank you for that. We had you on about 9 months ago. We're going back multiple times since you've been on here, but 9 months ago, I just happened to find a clip that we were talking about getting paid. I'm just going to quickly play it out for you here. It's about a minute long. Let's take a listen. I think you personally, I do not know your deal. You've never made it public, but I feel like you're worth a lot of money. So and this is just coming from a talk show host. I think you should go get as much money as you can. Yeah. I'm not saying that the sport is about money, but I think if you're bringing the players and you're bringing the disc sales and just everything that you've done for the sport as the highest rated player in the world, I hope the best for you, Rick.
Oh, dude, yeah. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and what I meant by the agent as far as in the future is what I meant is like my next contract deal. Not just the future disc golf, but like the next opportunity that I have to negotiate a contract, I will pretty much entertain that or do it. And so that's what I mean by the future. And so it's almost like if you're a top player and you're getting to that point, it's almost worth it now that you have to do it. Obviously, if my contract expired this year, which it doesn't, then I would probably go ahead and start talking to an agent potentially. But it's not I think I still have another 2 years on my contract. So it's not quite to that level yet, but when it is, like I said, in the future, when it is, then I will, definitely be entertaining that.
All right, Ricky, it is to that level now. Reflect on that. That was 9 months ago. Reflect on what your thoughts were back then compared to what's actually happened now. Like, what's changed?
Yeah, I think, I'm glad you brought that up because that was an interesting clip. But I think one of the most important parts for me is having Ari, my tour manager. She kind of has been acting as my agent, and for one, and then for two, she's allowed me to realize my worth. I mean, I think as a player, you're like always downplaying, like, oh, I don't have that many fans. I'm just playing out here playing disc golf. But she helps me realize, like, hey, no, you have a ton of value. Don't let these companies downplay that. Because it's in the company's best interest to downplay how many fans, how many followers, how many discs you're selling. Because of course they're going to want to do that because they want to underpay you. Yeah, if they were to be like, oh, Ricky, you killed your disc sales this year, you're amazing. Which, like I said, it just shoots themselves in the foot, because then they have to say, hey, we want to continue this, so we got to pay you. And so I think that was happening a lot. And so I think that not that I'm just want to be praised all the time, but an attaboy, is always nice once in a while. But yeah, so I think she helped me realize, how many discs, and how much I really do have an influence. And that's, that was the most important thing, really.
Yeah, so exactly. I think that's interesting. I heard you. I was able to be at the press conference when it was announced with Dee. You talked about how Ari was such a big part of that, and I think that's great that she's able to do that for you. So what happened between that moment and that conversation and you deciding that it was time? Because I'm sure you had thoughts. You didn't need Matt from the Nick and Matt show in an interview to tell you you're worth money. You had to have been thinking these things all along. So like, when did that, I don't know the right word, the wheels start turning to be like, you know what, it's time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a lot of the fact that my brand. I mean, I go back to my brand, but obviously, having the best season in 2021 and one of the most consistent seasons of my career, really. Obviously, not win wise, but as far as being in the hunt every week in and week out. So that partnered with my brand, my social media presence, and so all that stuff. I felt like I was doing a top-notch job, and I'm matching that with my athletic abilities on the course. And so I just thought it was time for me to make a change. And that was, like I said, Ari was instrumental in making me realize that over the years. She's just, she's been with me. She sees all the dynamics within the sport. And so I think having an outsider looking in almost gave me like a fresh view on it, as opposed to like sometimes when you're in the situation, you get caught up and you don't realize certain variables. And so she's helped me realize all the variables that go into a contract and into a career like, that I'm having. And I'm, so that's, yeah. And that's what I think is going to be happening more and more is having players, having agents and managers to be able to see that and actually take some of the pressure off the player.
No, definitely. I think agents and managers and everything like that coming into the sport, I think it's definitely going to be a helpful thing in the future. So we all know it. You signed with Dynamic Discs back in 2016 and back in 2017, where you won your world championships. You were with Latitude 64. What was kind of the reasoning not to go back to Latitude 64, but to go to Dynamic Discs? Because I know they're all part of the trilogy, but I'm not really sure in my mind, how much of a relationship do those three companies actually have with each other? Like, what was the choice between Latitude or Dynamic Discs in a sense?
Yeah, so I think that Latitude's really starting to work with a lot of players in Europe, and so I think like Kristen and Albert and those players, they're on Team Latitude, and then you see like obviously like me, Kona, Gavin, Matteo, all these players are on DDE because it's obviously in America, and so I think that's the biggest difference. Is when I was sponsored by Latitude, I was going through Dynamic for a lot of my discs, a lot of my just business stuff, get paychecks, all the different things that you need to do work with a sponsor. It all went through Dynamic and then went to Sweden. So I think that definitely had was a factor in the decision of, being sponsored by Dynamic. But it's all, like you said, it's all under the similar umbrella to where, all three companies are the same. It's just Dynamic, they obviously want to make a splash. I think that they obviously saw that they needed some top level talent. And so I think that it's revitalizing their brand, and they're obviously seeing that. And I think that was, obviously another key point was just having all this, top notch talent on the same team.
Wow. So again, I was able to ask some questions, hear some insights at the other press conference. So one of them, we kind of joked about you flying in a helicopter, and you're like, hey, maybe that's the new future to the tournaments. Drop me off at T-pad number 1. Away we go. But in all seriousness, it's a weird world, right? Sports, public contracts, money being made. But the fact that we know that Ricky Wysocki is a millionaire, or at least is going to be. And at least at this point, 250,000 Bitcoin. Tomorrow you could be a millionaire with just that. Who knows? Let me ask the question. How does something like this big of an actual contract guaranteed, practically change your life? And I'm talking even outside of disc golf. If you want to share, just like the day to day, what was it like sitting down? Like, dang, I got all this money now. Like, what do I want to do? Does it free up brain space, stresses? Like, what is it? What's the practical aspect of a contract this big?
Yeah. So for me, it's more of like, hey, how can I? But my first thought is, how can I invest? So I bought a house, an investment property in South Carolina near my parents. So I bought that. I'm gonna have my dad take care of that. I just bought it outright, and I was like, hey, Dad, here we're gonna Airbnb this and rent this out. And then I started a 401k. Obviously doing this crypto. So I'm just diversifying a lot of my money in different spots. And so I think it's something to where you see a lot of professional athletes. They're like, yeah, they're really good at what they do, but they're not professional investors, and neither am I. But I feel like I'm smart enough to where I want to diversify in real estate. I want to get some crypto. I want to have a 401k, and so I'm not going out and just going crazy buying stuff. It's still I'm still being cautious and setting myself up for the future because disc golf and sports in general, you never know when that injury is looming, but. I do my best to stay healthy, stay strong, and stay in the gym and prolong my career. So I still think I have at least another 10 years of playing. But I just have to set myself up now. And the sooner I do that, the better off it's going to be in the long run. So for me, the first thought was invest, start the foundation and give back too. I mean, that's something I'm going to be doing. That's, I want to give back to the community that gave me so much. And so we get the foundation's been working a ton. We're going to have that rolling out by Vegas potentially. And so, yeah, it's investments for me, but then also invest right back into the disc golf world and grow the sport from that aspect too.
Mm-hmm. Now, does this change how you'll be touring in 2022? I know you've been one of the players who has a van, but you get the Airbnbs. Are you going to start flying to more events or try and still just do the driving aspect of life?
Yeah, so I've always just liked the van. I could get an RV, and I can get pretty much whatever I want nowadays. But it's more of like I just feel comfortable. I meant like more like a van or RV. Like I get pretty much whatever. I didn't mean like that like a flex or nothing. I was just meaning like I could get an RV if I wanted to.
We're changing the YouTube title tonight. It says, Ricky says I can get whatever the hell I want.
There you go.
So it's more of just a preference, and I just like the convenience of the van.
Mm-hmm.
I think that having a trailer, pull behind trailer, being able to store all the stuff I need in there, and then having the van to drive around once I'm at the tournament. It's just, as an everyday driver, vans are really nice. It's just like an SUV. To whereas like an RV, if you want to go downtown on an off week or something and just go hang out downtown, it's impossible. Parking's impossible, and it's just there's just so many inconveniences when you have a big clunky RV. And so I just enjoy the van. I think it's a good compromise between space and drivability, comfortability. And like I said, I'm getting Airbnbs most of the time anyway, so that so I can unload my stuff and feel like I have a spot for the tournament week.
All right, let's do this. I mentioned this earlier. We're going to go ahead and try to take live calls. If anybody has any quick questions, you do not have to answer any of these. If you say, hey, Matt, I don't want to answer, we just drop them off the call. But we're going to try. And while we wait, well, here's the intro. Let's get into the intro.
Hi.
Hello, man.
Hola.
Okay, so while we wait, though, for someone to call in here, my question to you is, what do you know about Kat? Where's she going? You hang out a lot. Like, can you give us any exclusives?
Yeah.
Or like,
yeah.
Obviously.
No, honestly, like even if I did know, I would obviously wouldn't be able to tell you, but I don't know personally. I really don't. Maybe there's an NDA signed. That's something that is starting to happen. Obviously, in the sport, is companies are wanting players to sign NDAs just to keep it on the low. Luckily, Dynamic wanted. We were both comfortable going public with it, and I think I want to help my peers and potentially giving them some leverage and negotiating potential future deals. But yeah, I'm thinking that there's an NDA involved to where whatever company she's going to, and this is just speculation. Do not hold me to this. But I'm just saying that's a dynamic going on in the disc golf world. Is that there's NDAs, which means legally she's bound potentially. And I know other players have been in the same situation in the past. So I think that's definitely a variable that could be in play, and that's why not many people know.
No doubt.
No, you're probably right. All right, we got our first caller lined up. So let's go ahead and introduce him or her. Welcome to the show. What do you got for a question for Ricky?
Hey guys, Bill DG Go here again. Hey Ricky, how you doing?
Good.
Okay, good. Hey, do you have a question for Ricky?
Yeah, of course. I was just wondering, was there any one thing that you said, I gotta have this in my contract when it came to D-Day? And that's about it. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for the call, buddy. So for me, there was obviously a lot of variables, as you can imagine, in a contract that big. But it's a lot of behind the scenes business stuff too, to where we had meetings, we were able to see eye to eye business wise, and I think part of that was coming out with my new line of discs. I think that having a hand in specifically designing every single disc that I'm going to be throwing for years to come, that's super important to me, and it's something to where I want to share that with my fans and my followers, and have them be able to enjoy it just as much as me. So that, as much as the money's great, there's things like behind the scenes like that, and the cart contract that I'm getting with Zuka. I'm going to be designing my own cart with Zuka. So they just gave me free reins to do so much stuff behind the scenes with business, and that's also played a huge role.
Awesome. All right, we got another caller lined up. They're eager. Welcome to the show. What do you got for a question for Ricky?
Hey, how's it going? This is Randy. I was just questioning why you went to dynamic discs.
Oh, just straight up. Why'd you go to dynamic disc? There you go, Ricky. You kind of answered this, but elaborate as much as you want or a little. All right, thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. Yeah, like I said, it had a lot to do with business, but it also had to do, obviously, with the people involved. And, disc golf's really pretty small, honestly. That's, there's Discraft, sent me an offer, and they were on the table. But it also came down to, obviously, so I had to make a decision between the two companies. And like I said before, it kind of goes back to the business side. If there's two comparable companies, you got to say, hey, which one are you going to feel comfortable long-term with your business side, and which one are you most compatible with? I think, obviously from the outsider standpoint, but also the business standpoint, and that was dynamic.
Awesome. All right, we lined up another caller here. Let's go ahead and welcome them to the show. What do you got for a question for Ricky?
Hey, Rick, congratulations on your new contract. Hey, my
Thank
question's
you,
real
buddy.
simple. I've been doing the Wim Hof method for about a year and a half, and I see that you do a little bit of the cold therapy and stuff like that. Do you do the breathing and the cold treatment? Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for your question, buddy. But yes, I do both. So I'll do an ice bath, and I've got an ice barrel where I'll fill it up with ice, and I'll jump in there and I'll do the breathing, the Wim Hof breathing, while I'm doing an ice bath. So it's kind of like 2 for 1. And then I'll also do like a 10-minute meditation, almost breathing before a tournament, maybe visualizing my shots. And so there's a lot of breathing, and I focus a lot on that. It sounds pretty obvious to most viewers, like, hey, just breathe. But like, there's a whole science behind how you breathe, inhaling certain ways, exhaling, a certain amount of breaths, and, in certain amount of seconds holding in your breath. And that's what the Wim Hof's all about. And I've noticed I get clear mind, I get energy from it. And, oxygenating your body is never a bad thing. And so, yeah, there's a lot of science behind breathing and cold therapy. So you're on the right track. And I like doing it, cold baths after long rounds of disc golf to recover quicker, maybe say in a tournament.
All right. Yeah. All right. We're going to take one more call here. Welcome to the show. What do you have for a question for Ricky?
Hi, my name is Joe, and I'm calling from Sweden.
Awesome.
Cool.
Welcome from Sweden.
Hey,
All right. What's your
thanks
question for Ricky?
for calling, man.
It's what do you think about Idlewild coming so close before the European swing? If he's still going to attend to Idlewild,
Okay.
even if it's right before Europe?
Okay. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Ricky, are you going to attend? Idlewild's getting pretty close to the European tour.
Yeah, we're looking at the schedule. I think that there might be some players that skip it. It all depends, obviously, how all the stuff goes between now and then. But I potentially might skip Idlewild depending on if I'm going to Europe for 2 weeks or 1 week. I know the major in Europe is 1 week, and then a lot of people are going for the Pro Tour in Norway as well. So it's still up in the air. And it's definitely in my head that maybe I'll have to skip that if I want to go play the Pro Tour and the European Open in Europe.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for those calls. We appreciate that. I think I realized I have a slight audio issue on my side where maybe they couldn't hear Ricky, but that's okay. We could hear them. Ricky, everyone could hear except for the people doing the call, maybe. But so those are great questions. Thank you very much for that. Hey, Ricky, we've taken up your time here, but I had one more kind of question that I thought of since the last press conference where I had you is you had mentioned you're not really able to elaborate on anything with Innova's deal. Can I just ask like why you aren't able to elaborate on anything with the Innova deal?
Yeah, no, not really. Can't really elaborate much. Yeah, it's something that I just can't
just
talk
like
about
in
it.
NDA, nothing. You can't. There's nothing you could say about why you can't say anything.
Yeah, you got that right. Unfortunately, sorry about that.
Yeah. No, it's not a sorry. Here's the deal. Like this is what our job is, right? And this is just we asked the question. You didn't hurt my feelings. Didn't hurt my feelings, Ricky. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. We give everybody an opportunity to shout out, but would you just tell me what football game you're watching behind you?
Oh, look, you can see that. Heck yeah. I think, what am I watching? I think I was watching the Rams game, I think.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't think it's clear enough to where we won't get all copywritten, but we should be good.
That's so funny. Sorry, I'll turn the screen a little bit so you know.
No, you're good. You're totally fine.
Thanks for asking. What about you guys? The Pats are getting killed so far, I saw.
Yeah, it's
what?
17-7 so far.
I think.
No,
yeah, 17-7 now. Yeah, 17-7 now. Yeah.
Oh no, spoilers, Ricky. I didn't.
I'm sorry. Oh, did you record it? My bad.
No, don't worry. We have the ongoing joke that you can't spoil live sports. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what's wild about it. It's only a thing in disc golf where it's like, you know what? Like I can't watch the Pats game right now, which I'd love to be. Believe me, on a Sunday, I love watching the Pats with friends, family, whatever. But right now, I'm obviously doing the fun podcast. I just go on ESPN, look at it, and there you go. I'm up to date. It's like UDisc Live almost.
All right, Ricky.
Exactly right.
It's insane.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Again, appreciate it more than you know. Just the ease and the accessibility. You are a true people's person as far as fans go. You're very connected and active. I think you're second to none with that. So thank you for that. We'll have you on again. I'm sure you're going to win a whole bunch this year with new plastic and all. Are you giving yourself any timeline on like getting used to the plastic, or you feel like you should come out of the gate swinging?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of field work. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. I'm always glad to join you guys and chat about disc golf, share our passions together. So that's awesome to be able to do that and give some insight on what's going on with me. But as far as I've been putting in field work a lot. I think 2 or 3 weeks in the field is plenty of time to be able to build a bag. The only thing is, like discs, once you get to the East Coast, you need some broken in discs to do some hyzer flips and do some funky angles. But like in Vegas, it's just a hyzer Olympics. So you just need brand new discs to hyzer, and then you're good to go.
There you go. Great point. There you go. Hey, you said it, not us.
So luckily,
no, you're so right.
So luckily, I'll have time to break in my disc by the time I get your guys' neck of the woods for Maple Hill and in Vermont and all that. So that's something that is obviously the only thing that's tough to find is broken in discs when you have a brand new bag full of brand new discs.
That is true. All right, Ricky, we've taken up enough of your time. I don't know how much you're getting paid per hour, but if we broke it down, we owe you a lot. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ricky. We'll catch you another time.
No problem. Thank y'all.
All right, take it easy, bud.
Peace out, man. All right, everybody. Ricky Wysocki.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.